So now let's get started here with some great cake decorating. So the first thing I'm going to show you here, okay, is my little ghost cakelet pan. And this is great, especially now because it's Halloween, you know. And this is so easy to use. So all you got to do is fill this up 3/4 of the way with cake batter, and you bake it for about 350 for 25 minutes. Okay. So just make believe I put some cake batter in here, and I put it into my magic oven. It came out of my oven. I mean, hey, am I good or what? Huh? I got some tricks. And you let it cool down, okay? Do not try to wait. Do not touch the pan when it's hot. You'll burn your fingers. And usually we all learn the hard way. So I'm going to take one of these guys out and see how nice he came out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here. And I'm going to take a serrated knife. And very, very simply, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this off over here because I'm hungry and I want to eat. That's what you do with the scraps, all right? It's always good to eat the scraps. But what's good is because now that I evened it out, it's going to be a lot easier for it to stay flat. Because if you would have left the belly, it would have rolled over on you. And at the end of the day, I got a little chocolate cake. So, with that being said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some apricot jam. And if you don't like apricot, you could use raspberry. If you don't like apricot or fruit, you could use chocolate ganache. Or you could even do a little bit of buttercream. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to be our glue to make our rolled fondant stick to our little cakelet. And what's great about this too is that if you wanted to, you could even carve out a hole in the bottom and you could fill it with some buttercream or ganache or whatever kind of filling you like. You want to stick a little, little piece of like candy inside there. I think it's great because it's Halloween, right? So you get like this ghostlet, and when you cut inside, it's got some candy inside. Bada bing, bada boom. You'll be like mom of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just about done here. Okay. So let me get this going. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so now I'm going to take my fondant, and I actually have my own brand of fondant because fondant is very hard to make at home. And it's Cake Boss fondant because I wanted to give you guys the tools and the know-how and the stuff that we use. So I'm just going to put this aside for now. Okay. The good thing about fondant too is the shelf life. So you're going to see how little I have to use here. But when you're done with it, after you trim off the extra, you can put it in a Ziploc bag and then in a Tupperware, and it's got about a year shelf life in your pantry, ambient. So the first thing you got to do whenever you're using fondant is you have to knead it. And by kneading it, it's going to actually make it have a little bit more elasticity, okay? So you knead it back and forth. Take your time with it, right? You watching? You with me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Did you eat any of that black? Yeah, because I see it in your teeth. All right. So I like to use cornstarch when I roll out my fondant. Can you use powdered sugar? Yeah. Anything you want. So I have this mat, which is pretty cool too, because it's got, not only is it non-stick, and you can bake on it, but it's got a lot of cool little measuring things. So if you need to like measure a strip or something, it just makes life a lot easier. So I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll it out. Now, I like using this rolling pin because it's polyurethane and it's non-stick. And whenever you're rolling fondant, it's just like a pie dough, back and forth. Every time you do it a couple times, you have to lift, get some air under the dough. Now, could you use a wooden rolling pin or a metal rolling pin? Well, if you use a metal rolling pin, I feel like because it's colder, it dries out the fondant. And if you use a wooden rolling pin, I feel like over time you get little divots in it those divots are going to emboss into your fondant, and you're not going to have a perfectly smooth thing. This is not a big investment, but I think it's an important one. And again, if you have to roll out pie dough with it, pizza dough, or fondant, you do what you got to do. Trick with fondant is rolling it out to be as thin as you possibly can. And then now look, I'm just going to use my, if you notice, I use my forearms a lot in rolling. It's not all on the hands, so it's like this. So you start, and then right up my forearms, right? You with me? Back and forth. Okay, so now that I got that, I'm going to roll it back up onto my rolling pin, right? Do you have like a little board or something that I could put this on? I don't want to dirty my whole thing. Well, that's all right. We'll make a mess here. It's live. Why not? So then I'm going to just gently unroll it onto my little tartlet or cakelet, whatever you want to call it. Tartlet, cakelet, ghostlet. And now what we're going to do is going to conform it with my fingers and gently, gently go back and forth. And then the more times you rub into it, the more the indentations for the eyes and the outline are going to pop up. So now that I got it all stuck, I'm going to take my little pastry wheel or pizza cutter. You say tomato, I say tomato, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to cut around my little ghostlet, cakelet, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm going to put this over here on the side. And where's that rag? Just let me wipe this down. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, water and fondant don't mix either. So notice, first thing I did is I touched a damp rag and I wiped my hands all over myself like a big pig. I know that's bad, but if your hands are wet and you touch the fondant, it's going to not dry, okay? So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to rub in, and then I'm going to take my little ball tool here, all right, this guy, very important, and I'm just going to feel, and I'm going to trace my ghostlet. Ooh! You're scared at home, I know you are. So I'm just going to kind of go around, all right? And this is actually out of the Cake Boss modeling tool kit. And this is what we call the small L tool or ball tool. Again, you say tomato, I say tomato. And I'm just going to trace this guy out here. And you notice it's just so simple and easy to do, right? And what's great about this is something to do with the family. You know, you carve pumpkins, you go trick-or-treating, you got to make little ghostlets or cakelets, whatever you want to call them, ghost cakelets. So that's basically how you do that. And now let me come over here, Sophia, and let me see what you're doing. Wow, I got to say, I mean, look at my little angel over here, huh? Chip off the old block. You bake like daddy or mommy? Oh, nobody? You're not going to say that. You know what? She's smart too. She's not just beautiful. So, but again, look at how creative you can get with it. And she did different designs on each of them, which I love. And what type of tip are you using there, Sophia?
Number 4.
Number 4 plain is probably one of the most important tips in cake decorating because it's really something that not only could you write with or pipe eyes with, but you could also do drop line, string work, borders. I mean, there's so much you could do with it, so it becomes a lot of fun. Are you helping me out? You finishing me off over here? Cool. And actually, what about, did you have fun in Disney World?
Yeah.
Well, actually, last week, me, Fia, my wife, and other 3 children were in Disney World, and we went to the not-so-scary Halloween parade. Was that cool or what?
Yeah.
What did Daddy dress up as?
Caesar.
I was Caesar. Yeah, I was Caesar. And you were a...
Pretty kitty.
Pretty kitty, yeah. And what was your favorite ride?
Toy Story.
Toy Story? Well, you know Daddy's a master at the old Toy Story game, right?
No, I think it's me.
Oh, you think so?
Really? I think it's your mom. I heard she was the best.
Yeah, Mom did have the record, I gotta say. Look, I'm not a sore loser, but, you know, just saying. But give me a kiss. And how you doing over here, Gabs?
I'm doing good.
Ooh. So you're doing the same, all right, so this is what I love about this pan. Versatility, right? Because if you wanted to cover it in fondant, you could, which is great. If you wanted to pour ganache right over it, great. If you wanted to do poured poured fondant over the top, you can. Or you could just pipe on it. So the same exact pan gives you 4 to 5 different types of icing and techniques that you can do to make these ghosts great.
Yeah.
And the piping is just so simple because what were you using
I used a number 16 tip. It's a star tip, and it's super versatile. You could use it for all different types of things. I'm actually going to use it later on in this little live event to do something else totally different than these.
Well, what's good about this is you take the number 16 tip, right, and you just go over the raised area of the ghost, right? So it's basically, it's like coloring, right? You know exactly what you have to color in, like fill in the blanks. And then you take the number 4 tip and you fill in any other empty space. And then you have this cute little adorable ghost, which again has got plenty of icing. So you know my son Buddy's gonna want it, right? Because extra icing equates to anything that he'll eat. But again, what's great about this, may I?
Yeah, go for it.
I am the boss, I'm just saying.
You did teach me everything I know.
So what's great about this is what I call a very forgiving technique. Because all you're doing is, even if the star is a little bigger, a little smaller, you just kind of like just fill in and you just go back so that you have a perfectly covered ghost. And I love it. This is something the kids could do, no problemo. This is something you guys could do as a familia. This is something that's awesome to do around this time of year. Okay, let me just put some eyeballs on this guy over here. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Now, lastly, this one is what I call for the bakers who are kind of like my sister Grace, what we would call culinarily challenged, if you would want to say. People who don't really bake too much, okay? You bake this, you take a powdered sugar shaker, bada bing, bada boom, and look how cute that ghost is. Is that great or what?
Awesome.
So if you don't like to do all the decorating, but you just want to eat a great cake, what's better than a chocolate cake covered in powdered sugar? I mean, it's like, forget about it. All right?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
All right. And you...